Hi, lovies. It's Christina with Karma's Eye Psychic LLC here on Universal Spirit Podcast. And today we are going to be talking about death doulas. Some of us might be wondering, what is a death doula and why do we need to know? It is an area of work, mostly in the medical field, that can be often overlooked, but it's very valuable in our communities. Just like how a life doula helps bring babies into the world, there is a similar job to help people transition when their time is ending. The allegories of these professions reminds us that of our limited time that we have here on earth. In general, and more so to help us accept that everyone will in fact meet an ending. So all links and tags will be located in the comments, and sources will be in the description. Death doulas are not new. This would be equivalent to like a priest reading someone their last rites right before they die. Someone saying a prayer over, the person. And usually they either, appoint a family member or a religious authority to do this over someone that is dying either that day or that week or even that moment. And everyone around is going to need support, the family, the friends, and then the dying person. It does in fact help the family and whoever's close to the dying person transition their lives on what it's going to be like without them. And also giving the dying person the opportunity to, say some last words, if there's some artwork and things they want to, have left behind, of course, finalizing wills and everything like that. They're very helpful when people are just grieving and these tasks are very difficult to get done. But besides the medical part of it, right, there's also a psychological part of it as well, because people really never stop grieving. So death doulas kind of help people live life without the dying person in a more fulfilling way, rather than to be reminded of the grief, because the grief is always going to be there. But they psychologically help them get through it one step at a time. And also they psychologically help the dying person with, guilt-free transition, where they make them feel like they're not leaving anyone behind, that this is not your fault, and usually the dying person does have a lot of guilt in regards to, leaving a family, especially if they're leaving children behind, if the children are still very young. Which sources say. So it also helps the dying person get into a better, more positive state of mind before they transition. Also, the spiritual part of it, obviously, right, that everyone knows or has this inclination that there is some type of life after death, right? A life that we're not necessarily prepared for, because we've spent so much time in our physical bodies, right? Or we're not really educated on anything other than this life, right? So the death doula really will have you understand, like, hey, this is not the end. It's just, a door, another door leading into another room, so to speak. Okay, just another life that starts right after this one ends. There's no telling that it would be worse or better. It's just that it's just going to be another part of this journey that we are all going through the universe. A death doula also has to be very, very well versed in pretty much all spiritual practices and all religious practices, because every religion and every spiritual, belief system is different as to how, the dying person is to be treated, how much access the family has, and when it comes to transitioning properties and all that legal stuff, right? The prayers that need to be said, and etc., right? There is, a contract that you would have to sign with every particular family and understand what their needs are, in particular for performing this. for them. And like I said, you really have to be a very open-minded person. You have to be a very tolerant, very respectful person that can, in fact, service a family that might have different beliefs other than you. And this is not limited to age, race, or gender. A death doula's job is, in fact, very emotionally taxing, regardless of who the dying person is. And you're probably wondering, why are we talking about this? Well, I'm talking about this now because it is currently the end of February in 2024, and we will be entering March, which is technically the new year, like the new sun year, because we just came out of the new moon year, the lunar year, which is the Chinese New Year of the dragon. So now as we transition to the sun's new year, we are going to be talking about death and rebirth. Okay? And the reason why is because when spring begins, we will be talking about doulas that are the ones who bring babies into the world. People who have already transitioned from their previous life, who are now awakening into their new life. At least that's how I like to think of it. But however, deep down, sometimes every time a baby is born, I do believe that Guns N' Roses song, Welcome to the Jungle, should be played, right? Appropriately, of course, but let's face it, would be absolutely hilarious. Inappropriate, but let me just tell you, that's hilarious, right? Let's be honest, it's really a jungle out here in real life. And doulas have been previously referred to as like midwives, right? But now, since everything needs to be gender fluid, we would say death doula instead, because it's not limited to just one gender. So anyone can be certified to be a death doula. And in all honesty, it really is a very fulfilling job. It is a very important job. I mean, I couldn't imagine, someone having that type of strength and courage and even empathy to, ride out people's last days or last weeks, not with just the dying person, but also with the family. That takes a lot of strength and courage, and I just wanted to let anyone know who, anyone listening who happens to be a death doula, I thank you for what you are doing. It's not easy, and you are very much appreciated, and you are very needed. So thank you for that. Also, if you are interested in becoming a death doula or understanding more about what it is that they are, you can just follow the links that are listed on this podcast and in the comments on our Patreon. But once again, lovies, this is Christina with Karma's Eye Psychic LLC here on Universal Spirit Podcast. I hope this was helpful, insightful, and interesting, something to think about. Maybe you might be called to do something like this. Always follow your intuition and always follow your life's purpose. All right, lovies. See you later.